baby, hello, nakupenda sana. Hello mama, hello, wapi baby, mapenzi tano. Hello, nakutaka sana. Oh mama, oh mama.
Hey, asante sana for joining us for another classic episode of the Weekend Edition. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. We have a great show lined up for you, Maze. I hope we can brighten up your mood, knowing how tough this week has been. Maze, fuel prices are over the roof. They are so high that even do the guys wameanza kuendesha bike na mguu moja to save cost. Mi ujua wase wa Nduthi ni bad man, but this is the hardest nimeona mse wa Nduthi akitry kuona kama dem atamfolia. And Maze. Hey, but I don't know kama you also notice that kwa hiyo video kuna Nduthi mbili. Zote zimebeba, but they are riding differently. You can just tell by how careful they are. Ni nani amebeba mali. But then people are assuming that the guy mwenye anafanya stunt is in a relationship with the lady. Unaweza pata hata wajuani. Hata labda shida si mse wa Nduthi. Labda dem aliapproach huo mse akaomba lift. Sema unaweza ni drop Thika Road. Mse wa Nduthi akasema hold my beer. But then labda tu ni vile nimesema kusave mafuta. Unajua Nduthi guys are just Nduthi guys. Umeona hiyo video ya mse wa Nduthi anapita kwa inaitwaje kwa park, animal park. Kama kando ya masimba kama amebeba mandizi. Unajua the saddest thing about your clip ni huyu mse hajabeba hata kitu yenyewe akaanguka, simba inaweza kula kikiumana. As in kwa hiyo bike ni yeye tu ndio simba inaweza kula. And when I try to think of why someone ama mtu anaweza toa courage kutoa wapi hapo, I think bado tu ni kusave mafuta. As in mse wa Nduthi afadhali akulwe na simba lakini asiweke mafuta ya 200. Na hiyo story ya mafuta story ya bei ya mafuta kupanda. The Matatu Owners Association has announced a 30% increase in fare prices courtesy of the new fuel prices, and I think that now do ya kwenda Rongai ishafika 7,000. But on the brighter side, this may be the biggest boost to domestic tourism. Unajua most Kenyans wanasikianga tu kwa advert tembea Kenya. Sasa now this is an economic opportunity for more Kenyans to get the experience. Mesikizo ma noble causes za charity, mtu anatembea kutoka Mombasa to Nairobi to raise 2 million shillings. From the look of things na vile uchumi inaenda, very soon you may need to walk from Mombasa to save 2 million shillings. Yes, and this could also be the government showing the opposition who has the numbers. Who can take more Kenyans to the streets. Nani anaweza fanya wa Kenya waende watembee kwa barabara. Opposition ikisema 7-7, government inasema siku 7. Exactly. Now elsewhere, while speaking at the opening ceremony ya World Friends Conference at Kabarak University this week, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi encouraged pastors. Ameambia mapastors mazee watafute other sources of income kama side hustles.
We may need to double up the theological component with 1 or 2 other skills so that pastor, that preacher will not just pass the word of God, but will be an extension officer on matters of economy and skilling the congregation that they go to. I would not mind if my pastor doubles up as an agricultural officer. I would not mind if my pastor doubled up as an ICT trainer. I would not mind if my pastor doubled up as a nurse. And I would not mind if my pastor also doubled up as a mechanic.
Now let's start with the interesting choices given there. I think a pastor doubling up as a nurse is a classic case of conflict of interest. Ati pastor niombe kuna kamalaria kamenipeleka hapa siku 3. Alafu upone aliparent na nini. Unajua ama manzi akuombea apoteze kazi. Now the prime CS also says that he wouldn't mind his pastor doubling up as a mechanic. Now mechanic as a pastor, that would mean that hata Grogon watu watapata white collar jobs. But yes. Now imagine going to get your car kwa mech, alafu anakuelezea zile vitu ametengeneza. Tumebadilisha brake pads, spark plugs pia tumeweka mpya. na nimeobea carburetor. Buda na basi naona umenilipisha hapa service 30,000 na mimi ulipa service na 2,500. Hapana ndugu, gari yako imegia first na second service. Na tukakuwekea anointing oil alafu nikakukata tie 30,000. Hata amekukatia ama extreme cases za manze nilipeleka gari yangu garage manze pastor nifungie engine nikamuuliza nichukue lini akasema nikuje after 40 days. Ati atakuwa amemaliza kufunga. Alafu pastor kama amefunga hizo siku zote alafu ikose kuwaka unakasirika. Unakuwa furious, pastor anakuwa fast and furious. Your story ni ya ufala. Forget tumesema hivyo. Now as much as this proposal seems noble, haters have criticized Honorable Mudavadi's speech for not making sense, especially the part where he ties his proposal to the high unemployment rate.
We have a crisis of unemployment. My fellow Quakers, we have a crisis of unemployment. There are about 7 million young men and women capable, able, schooled, but we have a crisis. We have to figure out what we shall do as a collective to sort out some of these problems.
Now, haters say this is a paradox. You say 7 million people are out here without jobs, and then as a solution, you encourage pastors to train as mechanics and nurses. Alafu. We already have unemployed nurses, we have unemployed mechanics. Why do you need the pastors to join them? To boost the unemployment rate. Now, how is that a solution? Ama hiyo speech next week where, wadau, sasa we have 8 million unemployed Kenyans, 1 million of whom are men of God. Maze naitwa Jemo na mimi hufanya kazi ya mek na nimeokoka. Strange mixture. But then again, Kenyans just like hating. Wakenya wanapenda kuhate. Mudavadi is the right person to make that speech and he knows what he's talking about. If there's one person in this country who knows you can get a job that does not exist, it has to be the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Now, employment in this country always has a very interesting twist. This week, kwanza, there's a story going around ya jamaa anaitwa Jamdoz. Jamdoz went to school akasomea public health, but after failing to secure employment, he's now making a killing as a professional mourner. Can you imagine that? He went to school and did a course that can be of great help when people are alive, only to end up getting gigs courtesy of people who have died. Jamaa alisomea public health, lakini akienda kutafuta job, kila mtu anamwambia over my dead body. Now, but on a serious note, I support Honorable Mudavadi's proposal. People need to appreciate the genius of that idea. Crime has always, think about it, crime has always been tied to unemployment. Imagine if half of the unemployed Kenyans were pastors. Think about it. Imagine kupigwa ngeta na mchungaji. Toa ndugu. Toa ndugu. Toa ndugu. Amen. Alafu, speaking of insecurity, thugs are reported to have broken into the Kisumu County Assembly and made away na ma TV sets, sound, PA, kila kitu mazi. Mazi, what a crude way to remove the Speaker of the County Assembly. We have a great show lined up for you. Our guest for this episode is a pharmacist. Akona vibes poa sana. Leo tutaongea story ya madawa. Lazima tuambie mbili tatu about universal healthcare because he also happens to be the CEO of NHIF. Sam Kuhora is in the house. Asante sana. He's joining us on the other end of this short commercial break. This is Vibes you don't want to miss. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the weekend edition. Asante sana for joining us. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. Conversation yetu ya leo nimeambiwa tumetafuta pharmacist for some time and the pharmacist we landed happens to be the CEO wa NHIF. Hiyo ni kitu ya uzito sana. CEO wa NHIF is like running for president but forget well soon. Sam Kuhora is in the house. Karibu sana.
Thanks.
Kierere yangu inanituma nianze na ile place ya 2 questions first. that I know are on most people's minds. Squeezy, when you go to buy medicine, unaambiwa, oh, ni aje, will you take generic ama original? There's a price difference, but kupona utapona. So what determines dawa yenye unachukua? Kupona ya how much ama kupona ya how long?
Okay, kitu yenye ni important kwa medicine,
yes,
is called the API, the active pharmaceutical ingredient. So kisema Panadol versus another product, not really Panadol, but still paracetamol. The important thing is it's paracetamol, na unatumia 1000 mg, na unatumia 3 times a day. So that active ingredient is what makes that drug. So the branded one, ni yenye mwenye alifanya research and development, akikama up na that drug. So aliinka all the costs za kufanya research, the preclinical research, akakama up na the product, akaiweka kwa market, alafu anafanya surveillance. Now for the generic, it's cheaper because patent ya this original product maybe imeisha ama imekuwa terminated for some reason, therefore they can be able to produce the same thing, but at a lower cost because there are some costs that they are not incurring. So the active ingredient is the same, but now the product, how it's been packaged is what is different. So that's why kuna kuwaga na alternative. Unaweza tumia branded ama generic.
But kupona utapona.
But kupona utapona. But then there are some drugs where kuna kuwaga na a very narrow margin. So they will tell you that it's better to use the branded product kwa sababu kuna some variations. There are some things that have to be considered. It's a bit scientific on that. Yeah. But for most of the products, you can use either as long as the ingredient is the same.
It's not like ati make it rain as in naweza pona na 3,000 but if I can do 5k, why not? Sio nini?
Hiyo ni personal preference, but the API is the important thing.
Okay. Yeah. Alafu haters have also been asking the question of ati ukiambiwa hii dawa ni ya kichwa itafanya uche kumwana kichwa, right? Yeah. Inajuaje mahali kichwa iko? Like, okay, sorry. nimeuliza vilayman sana. Yeah. Nimeuliza vilayman sana. As in ati ukimeza painkiller inajuaje unaumwa na mguu?
Now, there's a whole science, yes, behind drug development. Unajua, okay, kama vile Africans waliko, unajua kuna surveys zenye zimefanywa, zinasema in the Kavirondo region, which is the Nyanza region.
Yes.
There are some surgeries that were being done even in the 1700s. So we always know that hizi zilikuja na wazungu, hata inaitwa cesarean section, but kuna some African communities which are actually doing surgeries there.
Okay.
So how drug inajua ni kichwa, inajua ni mguu, it's basically the science behind it. Kwa sababu it's called a pharmacology. Yeah?
Yes.
There are things which make the drug work in a particular way. Kuna receptors, kuna the drug. So the thing is, you target that medicine to what it's meant to do. And that's where research and development comes in. Mse mwenye anakuambia aloe vera can be used to do this to the skin. There's something that is in aloe vera and it's linked to what is there in the skin. So utatumia hata kama ni oral, but still it will target a specific area. I think research zimefanywa saizi. You see, like cancer, anti-cancer saizi, most of the formulations zenye ziko kwa market, you take it orally, but it will affect the whole body. So ukiangalia research zenye imefanywa saizi, kuna drug yenye it's very specific and it's even tagged to technology. So it goes to a cell which has a specific molecule. So kama hiyo cell haina a receptor that is called CD4, drug haiwezi act hapo. Itanini. So it's very targeted, it's targeted therapy. So there is quite a lot a lot of science behind it, so that it informs what a drug will do in the body.
Iko na science mingi.
Yeah.
Interesting. Congratulations in your acting career. He's the acting CEO wa NHIF. So inamaanisha uko na mguu moja ndani.
Yeah.
But I know the question on most people's minds inaweza kuwa ni maze, wewe tukimpea miaka mob tunaweza mpea ngapi? 35. Hata umefika?
Nimefika.
Umefika? Okay, but ulilandaje kama msee anakaa boys hivyo, ulilandaje job ya retirees?
I think you're ni rumor. Siati ni job ya retirees, but I think that has been the trend.
It's a good thing for perception by the that young people also get a chance ya hold positions kama hizo. What set you apart?
Now, I think one of the key things that you need to do is just to love what you do and do what you love. I think you will get the best out of yourself when you do that. Nikiwa high school, I think the thing that I loved most was Kem na Mao. So hiyo ndio ilinifanya nifuatie line ya career yenye unaona ina combine that. So we would go to Campo. There are people who are strong in biology, but then when it comes to chemistry, mathematics, I was pretty good at it. So hiyo ndio ilini narrow to that. Then when it comes to the job, I ended up specializing in management and epidemiology. Epidemiology is basically maths, because you're looking at what is happening, what is the cause and what is the effect. And to be able to link the two, una need hesabu. So the statistics that really became very important.
Rudi nyuma kidogo hapa. Kwa medicine, kuna pati ya hesabu ya cause and effect.
Yeah.
Hiyo ni kama kupiga hesabu, mazeni inaweza kuwa na umwa na nini? No, ile ya ile ya ni malaria ama ni COVID. Hizo ndio mahesabu tunaongelea. Like ni nini inaweza kuwa, what's the mathematics?
Now, for you to establish that something has an effect, you have to look at it, the effect itself and the cause, and then utumie links. So ukisema maybe kuna people who have a headache, the question is what is causing that headache? Can you link that headache to something else? Yeah. If you say malaria ina cause watu wakuwe na fever, does it mean it's only malaria that itafanya mtu akuwe na fever? So there is that link that has to be done, and you actually do statistics to link that. Na time yenye COVID ilishika, watu walikuwa na several presenting symptoms. Now the next question was, if flu yenye watu wako nayo, is it flu ya kawaida, as in kawaida influenza, is it COVID or is it something else? So to be able to link COVID and what people are presenting with, you have to have some statistics. So you see maybe watu 100 waiko na fever. Of those 100, how many of them are positive for COVID? Maybe it's 99. Of those 100, how many of them are positive for another flu, another kawaida flu? It's maybe 40 ama 30. Of those 100, how many of them wako na malaria? It's maybe 5. So from that, you can tell that there is a link between when you wako na COVID na when you wako na flu. So hapo ndio.
Would that explain why ati wewe na mse mwingine mkiwa na symptoms the same is not a guarantee ati you are suffering from the same thing?
Yeah.
Ndio sababu you need to seek professional help. Hawezi jitreat na symptoms za mse hata kama mmezoeana, kama mnajuana, ujiambie vile wamadhe wetu au treat wasi hiyo ni malaria, anakupea ile time ya quinini, nafikiri ilisha expire, ilisha kuwa phased out.
Yeah. Actually, that's the basis behind it. So mnaweza kuwa mna present almost the same, but doesn't mean you are suffering from the same. So self medication kuna time huwa it's discouraged, kwa sababu unaweza kukitreat something that is very different. And then the problem is when you actually get to discover what the problem is, inakuwa too late. So even intervention either inakuwa too expensive, ama you might intervene but you're not going to get the same clinical effect. So what the doctor does is that anaangalia the whole symptoms, unatumia your clinical knowledge, unakuja na differential diagnosis. So unasema maybe it could be 1, 2, 3 or 4. Then the next thing is tuende lab ama tuende imaging, CT scan, X-ray, so that you can confirm amongst these 5 which is the likely cause. Okay. And then that's what informs the intervention. Okay. But you see, ukifanya the self-medication ama ujitreat, you might miss out on something. So it becomes a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I have a theory that kama wewe ni myang hivi na ndio unaingia CEO wa NHIF, si ndio? What if hizi jobs watu wazeekangi juu ya time, watu uzeeka juu ya stress? Labda mse uingia akiwa 35 kama wewe, but ukipiga job 2 years unakuwa 45 ama unakuwa 50 juu ya pressure. How much pressure is it to keep Kenyans healthy kwa system kama hiyo yenye sasa una run?
Pressure iko, and I think it's everywhere. It just depends on how you manage it, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned, just do what you love and do it the best way you can. At the end of the day, what will make you keep doing it is that satisfaction that you've given it your best. Kama kuna knowledge yenye haijulikani in the country, take time and look through it. So for me, data inakuwa important, and it really helps in that, because unaangalia, okay fine, hii project yenye gavana roll out ya UHC ita cost like 260B. Then the next thing is what value are you getting out of it? I'll give you an example. Ukiangalia kitu kama the disease burden in the country now.
Kuna
The most
kitu kama
common
disease burden.
Yeah, the most common cause of death at the country now is infectious diseases. But from statistics, inaonyesha by the time tunafika 2030, the non-communicable diseases, which are usually associated with the old, ndio zitakuwa most common. The likes of diabetes, the likes of hypertension, kuna vitu za stroke, kuna vitu za cancers. I think we mentioned earlier story ya asthma, although ilikuwa daro yako.
Yes.
Kuna mental health, unaona the way mental health became prominent just because of the incidence of COVID. So hiyo ndio itakuwa the significant cost driver. So now the next thing is, we are about 7 years away. What can you do now so that the effect is not that significant 7 years later? So we've just looked at diseases that the heart and the vessels, the cardiovascular diseases. So we're like, if we look at managing or investing in cardiovascular diseases now, we'll spend about 2.2 billion, but in 10 years, the returns, itakuwa like 380%. So the returns is in terms of, this guy akiwa na stroke, atakuwa admitted for like 7-8 days before they're able to resume their duties. And even when they resume their duties, they might not be 100%. Yeah? Maybe amekuwa paralyzed to some extent, therefore they are not able to give it 100%. Mwenye iko na hypertension atakuwa admitted for like 3-4 days. You see, that admission inamaanisha mwenye anafanya job yake ama side hustle yenye unafanya, you will not be earning that income. So if you compare what you are spending in healthcare versus what you are getting into the economy, because this person is healthy, this person ajapata that condition, or this person has not died, we are looking at benefit ratios of 380%, which is quite significant. So it might be felt now, but in reality, it's actually really helping. Investing in healthcare, it really helps in the economy.
Kuna challenges kama wasee wanalianga, msee analipa NHIF, but then when it comes to time yenye you need NHIF the most, the best one za kupatia ni bed. So haters wanasemanga ungelala kwako. So now, so the challenge inakam, how can this be dealt with in terms of perception? Ndio watu feel they are contributing to a good cause that anybody has an equal opportunity to benefit.
Okay, thanks. I think the approach that we are using is basically to have some good level of communication. I think this is one of the good forums to do it, so that ujue what you are entitled to. Because ukienda hosi wapatie kadi, most likely atakwambia hii hatuna ama hii NHIF haikava. But the reality is, maybe they have been paid for it, but they're just not telling you. So the approach that we are using is to let you know explicitly what you are covered for. Now, the reason why kuna watu wana complain that it's only bed yenye inakuwa covered is because of the kind of engagements that we have with different hospitals. I'll just give you an example. Ukiangalia Nairobi, yeah? The consultation fee in a range between 2,700 and 11K. Yeah? So as a financial utalipa gani? Yeah? So those are some of the decisions that we have to make. So what we do as a financial ni, unaongea na hosi, because NHIF by itself does not have hospitals. So this service is delivered through hospitals. So naambia hospitali, this is the product that we are offering. This is the cost that we've studied the market. This is the cost in the market. Are you able to offer this service comprehensively? So that you go with your card, you present your card, they verify that it is you, si bro yako ama kitu kama hiyo. Alafu, they offer the service and you walk out of there without any out-of-pocket payment. So kuna hospitali zenye wanasema, ai hapana, we take the basic, alafu hiyo ingine, patient atajilipia. So if you go to such a hosi, watakwambia, it's only the bed that is covered, hiyo ingine, unajilipia. So all those things have been defined. So in the country, tuko na more than 7,000 hospitals zenye wame agree to comprehensive terms. So you walk in with your card, you're basically treated for the scope of cover that you're entitled to, and you walk out bila any out-of-pocket payment.
So the best strategy is to fall sick near a hospital that covers comprehensive.
No, not really. The thing is, keep yourself healthy. That's the best strategy. But in case you do, you have a panel of providers that you can access, and they are spread all over the country. If you want the information to know which providers have that kind of comprehensive contracts, ziko kwa website ya NHIF. Now the next thing is, we take it to other platforms. Can you go to an app where, unajua the way Uber iko, unaweza ingia kwa app uangalia which hospital is close to you, iko na this kind of service, you can be able to go there without paying. So that's the direction that we are going. But for now, you can be able to get that data from the website.
Thank you very much for making
Thanks.
time for us. Asante sana. Wapi makofi ya Sam Kuhora? Aya basi. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.